Okay, so this evening I would like to talk about a record which kind of goes under the radar, but is considered by fans of the band, die-hard fans of the band, as being a bit of a classic. And that's because it is a bit of a classic. Not very commercial in any way, shape or form, but that's what people want from this band. They don't really want commercial. What am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about this. Black Sabbath, Headless Cross from 1989. Quite a dark record, not just for sleeve, not just all this nighttime imagery, almost infrared in places. So who was with Sabbath in those days? Many lineup changes, as you know. Not as many as some bands, but still quite a number of lineup changes. We're talking late 80s, so we're talking Tony Iommi, of course. Ever consistent in the band. On bass, Lawrence Cottle for the one and only time. On drums, Cozy Powell for his first appearance, I think, with the band. And Jeff Nichols, the late Jeff Nichols, on keyboards. Singer, of course, Tony Martin, for his second appearance with the band. Actually, come to think of it, I think this was Cozy Powell's first appearance with the band. I'm pretty sure that I'm right about that. And what does all that add up to? It adds up to much in the way of darkness. Not just the mood of the music and the production of the record, which is really good, but also the lyrical content. There's a lot of stuff on here to do with Satan, etc. Now, it's the band's 14th studio LP. So this is an old band by now, considered to be an old band. Not one of the young up and coming ones anymore. Not one of the dangerous bands anymore. But this, as I say, is quite a dark record. Now, I don't actually remember getting it, but I know exactly where I got it from. I got it from good old Vinyl Exchange in Manchester, Oldham Street, which is still there today. And it says on the little sticker, mint, because they always grade the records. And quite frankly, it's still mint. I mean, it looks absolutely spotless. That's not because I haven't played it a lot. I've played it a fair bit. Because it's a great record, and I always look forward to hearing it. It's not the longest record in the world, but it's not the shortest. It's a good, solid chunk of time, a good investment, and a good slab of British heavy metal. Tony Martin's performance is excellent. And he still is excellent to this day. He was earlier this year, he had a solo album out, or late last year, whenever it was, and that should be heard, because it's a good record, and he's a great singer. Perfect fit for this band. There's a lot of ad-libbing towards the end of songs, which is his style, and it really adds a kind of a live feel to the record, which I really like. So what have we got on here, song-wise? Starts off with a little opener called The Gates of Hell. Goes into Headless Cross, the title track. Then we have Devil and Daughter. Then we have one of the heaviest Sabbath songs on this record, and one of the heaviest Sabbath songs, full stop. A thing called When Death Calls. That is really dark and really moody. And Brian May, of all people, appears on that. The first solo on that is by Brian May. And it's a great solo as well. Then we have a Kill in the Spirit World. We're now into side 2. Call of the Wild, which is a little bit more upbeat and less doomy. This is quite a doomy record. Then we have Black Moon, which is a little bit forgettable. And Nightwing, which is again a really dark, classic sounding song. Fantastic. Great production by Messrs. Iommi and Powell on this one. And overall, it's a really good record. After having problems with various record labels leading up to this, they decided to go with IRS Records, and I can safely say I'd never heard of them. And to this day, I can safely say I have nothing else on the IRS record label. I'm sure plenty of bands were on there, and it wasn't an intentional thing, it's just that this is the only record that appealed to me on that particular label. There you go. So, have you actually heard Black Sabbath Headless Cross? Or is it one you avoided because no Dio, no Ozzy, therefore no go? Some people felt that way, some people still feel that way. But you're missing out because this is a great record. It's a good record. We're on the cusp of the 90s, and it's one of the last heavy records I bought of the 80s. If not the last. I think I got it in the summer, so we're basically towards the end of the decade. The end of the year. Late summer, something like that, that's the time I got it. And I didn't play it a lot because, to be honest with you, at first I felt it's alright, it's okay, it's not brilliant, but the songs on here are very good. You know, as a record, it's a very good record. And I think if you haven't heard it, you really need to give it a chance, give it a listen, see what you think. Now, as far as actual chart performance goes, well, it did okay. You know, it didn't really threaten anybody. It did okay. The UK number 31 is the highest it reached. And in America, it only got to 115. So at least it cracked for 200, which is, you know, what their chart is called. It's the US 200 Billboard chart. So at least it got into it. At least it made some indentation. Not a big one, but at least it made some kind of impact. So overall, this record is not a bad effort from Black Sabbath. A band who don't need to prove anything at this stage. They just need to get some product on the market, and it's good product, well produced, nice and dark, nice and doomy. What the fans wanted, I feel, at this point. After that, I kind of lost interest because I felt the Tear album that came after it, T-Y-R, however you pronounce it, wasn't up to scratch. Tony Martin is still on it and doing a fine job, but the songs just aren't there for me on that one. So, that is Black Sabbath, Headless Cross from 1989.